What's good, anime enthusiasts? We are looking at the anime of the season. In fact, quite possibly anime of the year. I'm talking about Shiboyugi, playing death games to put food on the table. Long title? That's okay. I'm just gonna call it Shiboyugi. But this anime just hits everything right. I'm talking storytelling, visuals, intention. It poses many questions for you to ask yourself and answer, and it puts these characters in situations to where, what would you do in a situation, or could you even be in a situation like that, or what difficult solutions could you conceive, or would you be able to survive? Like, this whole world is so twisted in a very deadly yet gorgeous way. It's so different. I want to. It really is different, and it's a nice, refreshing anime across everything that we've seen so far. And I'm pretty sure that it's been done before, quite possibly. But I guess to see it again in this form, done so well, it's breathtaking. It's speechless. It gets you hooked. It sells you on everything, and you're just in for a very wild, surreal, unnerving thriller suspense ride, and you just don't want it to stop. You just want it to keep going. Now, of course, Shiboyugi is not gonna be for everybody. It's not gonna be for everybody. If you're not into mystery, if you're not into thriller, if you're not into suspense, if you're not into horror, if you like anime with a bunch of action and superpowers, impact frames, you're not gonna find it here. Shiboyugi is not for you. You go find send this to be your hero, go find some other shonen to watch. This is a seinen. This is for a more I don't want to say cultured mind, but this is like more adult theme. It's going to challenge your personalities, your norms, your morals. It's gonna ask you difficult questions, and these characters are gonna have to, answer those questions. You're gonna probably think, man, I wouldn't do that. But the storytelling and their motivations and the characters are done so well to the fact that, hey, these characters, these type of people out in the world, and you're thinking, man, it sucks. But if you are into those things that I just said before, welcome home. Hi, welcome. Like, follow along me with this. I mean, also, if you like Danganronpa, if you like visual novels, things like that, if you like death games, this is your home. This is your alley. People die in gruesome ways. But really, I just want to point out, no. Let's just get into it. Let's just get into it, because I mean, it's more than, it's like 2 episodes worth of an episode 1, and a lot happens, and you get to know the world, you get to know the protagonist, and you get to know some of the characters the protagonist knows, but you're not going to know them for long. They seem one note, and that's because it makes sense, and we'll get into that as the story goes on. So in the beginning, we see this city, we're on a highway, and we see cars passing by, and it looks odd because it's not smooth. It's not like a 60 FPS smooth where you see the cars going down. You see it skip a few times, and you're probably thinking, and I'm thinking, they're not animating on every single frame. They're probably under cranking some things if it is going smooth, and it's a little jarring, to say the least, if you're not used to that. And then we get a little weird scene with this black and colorful smoke or ink, and you hear a bunch of people saying hello, 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 and then we get smack dab right into the middle of it. Look at this room. Gorgeous. It's like an oil painting. From now on, almost every single scene that you see looks fantastic. It's as if they just brought Bob Ross back from the dead just to paint every single scene, and it has so much detail, and there's a lot of intent behind everything. And while it looks beautiful, it looks so sad and empty. And the colors, they look stripped. While it still looks like beautiful, it looks also abstract and kind of off-putting, and it makes sense because this is we'll get into it when the characters get introduced to it, but this is a death game. This is not like happy-go-lucky. No, this is serious business. And we see our first character, our protagonist, Yuki. She's dressed in a maid outfit. And by the way, I gotta say, she looks gorgeous. Also, you're also gonna see a lot of scenes to where they're not gonna draw the characters out fully. They might draw them like background characters where they don't have any like facial features and they're not so well defined in the portions. And while some people may think like, oh, that's just being lazy, no, I think this is actually intentional because it's different. It's like, yes, we will draw these characters this way. If they're not fully up close, even if they're midway or like far or and they're far away, we're gonna not draw their facial features. You always don't have to do that. And when it does, and when they don't do that, it looks like a beautiful oil painting. It looks amazing. And it's so scary as well. Not to mention, like I said before, with the highway scene, when Yuki moves, she moves not very slow, but you can see that there's slowness to the movements where she's just moving about. It's not quick. They don't have to move fast. This is a very slow, methodical piece. Everything is intentional. And as she's going through the hallways, even checking out the room, it's just gorgeous. Then she gets into the dining room where we meet the other girls, the other players, and they all begin to introduce themselves. Of course, we have Yuki. This is her 28th time in the death game. She's got long white hair and 2 colored eyes. Next, we have Kinko. This is her first time doing a death game. She has yellow twin tails, looking like a princess, and she's here to repay a debt. Her father's, to be specific. Moving on, we have Kokuto. Short, black hair with red highlights. This is her second time in the death game. And then she's here because working like a normal person started to feel stupid. Ooh, that's interesting. We'll get back into that. Next, we have Momono. She has pink long hair and she has the biggest assets ever. And she was tricked to participating. She didn't want to, but she was like kind of quote unquote forced to. We don't know why. We can kind of see the intentionality of how you can enter. Then we have Benya. This is her first time participating, but she has prior knowledge of how these death games work. She's got red bob hair, I'm sorry. And she says she's here because she's carrying a little bit of debt, just like Kinko, and she just needs a little money. But she's being very vague about it. Kind of suspicious. And then we have Aoi, on brand, blue hair. Aoi means blue. This is her first time, and she's very quiet, very reserved. And she said she had no other choice. So afterwards, the girls get to talking, and they decide, okay, Yuki, you are the leader because you're essentially a veteran and you already played this many times. And so Yuki starts, explaining, especially because we have first timers here. This is a game where people can die, hence the name Death Game. There are dangerous traps all over the building, and it's something similar to like an escape game. You need to get to the exit while avoiding all the traps. Simple. Thankfully, there is no time limit, and unfortunately, no supplies are given to the participants. And if you don't escape, you don't get the reward, and you don't get to go home. That's basically it. And Yuki says the survival rate is average to be around 70%. So it's likely like 1 or 2 people are gonna perish before we get to the end. And Yuki, outright says like, yo, my playstyle is altruistic. I'm gonna make sure that everybody lives and we get to the end as to the best of my abilities. And then she just says, oh, but I might be secretly evil. So you shouldn't really trust what I'm saying or doing. And while people may think, what? That's backwards. Why would you say that you're helpful but also like to not trust you? Yuki is, I guess, in a very poor way of doing it, explaining that you shouldn't trust everyone around you and you should make your own judgments, because while Yuki may be the veteran, other people around you might have ulterior motives in this death game. So even though everybody can be buddy, if at some point during the end or during one of these challenges, somebody might backstab somebody. So you gotta, be prepared for that. And of course, without any supplies, you're probably thinking like, oh, they probably can't eat. No, there are some limitations. They thought about things like, they aren't gonna let you starve to death. And then they kind of say like, yeah, there's an audience watching, and the prize money changes with each person. So that gives credence to like everything what they said so far, is that this death game is broadcast to several different, like hundreds, possibly thousands, tens of hundreds of thousands of people that are just watching this. And it's like a game show kind of thing to where you can choose to participate, or in some cases you can be forced/tricked in Momono's case, and the reward is money. So you can repay your debt or do something else with the money, or get fame whatever floats your boat. All you gotta do is live. So afterwards, all the girls decided to follow Yuki because she is the designated leader, and they start searching the house, looking for clues or anything. And it's a nice little short montage of them looking around. No visible like subtitles or audio dialogue exchange. Pretty simple. And then while in one of the rooms, Momono is like secretly talking to Benya, and one of the other girls calls it out, but Momono says, I need to go to the restroom. And of course, she didn't want to go to her by herself, so she asked Benya. And we see a little scene where Benya is outside waiting on Momono to use the restroom. Back into the dining hall. When they reconvene there, they're trying to figure out what to do next, where to search next. And they figure out, we haven't really searched the dining room. So Kokoto searches the room, and she goes over to the dining room table, and she picks up the tray that has the macarons on, and she finds the keys. Woo! Let's go. When she picks up the keys, Yuki at the same time says like,
be careful. Sometimes they set the deadliest traps near important items. Make sure.
Nobody screams. That's how serious this anime is. No need for shrieks, no need for shrills. Like when something that quick happens, you have no time to react. And Kokoto is just lying there, lifeless. She's gone. That's it, game over. We're now down to 5 girls. All they can do is just leave her. And then Kinko just starts praying over Kokoto, but Yuki goes, hey, I wouldn't recommend that. We may not have a chance to pray for others going forward. And if you get to the point to where you pray for someone, but you don't pray for somebody else, it'll start to breed weakness in your heart. Emotional scars are a lot more serious than you think. And Yuki just keeps going and says, I only mourn when the game is over. It's like, dang, Yuki's right. Like, if you start really, if you want to survive in a death game, you can't really care for every single person that goes along. Or maybe you can, but you start to feel for people, and you might start making rash decisions based on that. That's So of course, 5 remaining girls get to a room where they're trapped in, and this is a diabolical room. So they're in like this hexagon room to where there's a door that says the door that they can leave, but there's these there's 6 different pulley levers with manacles attached to them, and there's water that continues to pour from above. There's no drain in the room. So while this water is pouring down, it's starting to flood the room, but not by a whole lot. They have like plenty of time. So what they have to do after like try and see a few things, they have to put on the manacles on one of their arms and push down on the lever, which triggers the trap. From above, there's these saws that slowly descend from above. And of course, these large walls start to come up and they section off each and every girl. To leave, they have to use the keys they found in the dining room and find the key that goes to the manacle and take off the manacle. And in the middle of the room, there is a small little opening where they can put the keys and allow for the other girls to get. So that's how it's supposed to go. Yuki has a set of keys, sets her free, puts it in the middle for the girls to reach out, and then it's a frenzy for everybody to grab the keys. Benia grabs the key, grabs the set of keys, frees herself, and then she hesitates. And then while she's hesitating, Yuki is like, "Hey, Benia, are you good? Are you okay? Did you free yourself? Did you give the keys away to somebody else?" And then you see this slow scene where Benia puts her arm underneath the section to where the girls are reaching, and Benia takes away so many precious seconds to purposely make sure that Momono gets those keys. Momono gets the keys, lets herself out, but so much time has passed. And then while it's going on, Yuki is having a monologue in her mind. It's between two different voices. It's like third person and first person, to where they're like noting the same thing that's happening. It's like, did Benia like hesitate? Did she take away precious time? Did she play favorites? And then it's like, oh no, either Aoi or Kinko are gonna die, or both of them are gonna die. Really knows. But Momono finally passes off the keys, but Aoi can't reach it as she's struggling. But Kinko can. But unfortunately, too much time has passed, and Aoi just falls victim to the trap. And while this is happening, Yuki just says, all Yuki can do is just watch. Oh man, like, it's so crazy. Like, I thought Benia was being vague at the beginning because she kind of like knew some things, but I think Benia did play favorite, but I think that only happened because everyone knew that Momono was tricked to be here, and she was crying. Like, she didn't want to be here. She was probably the weakest, like even weaker than Aoi. And when Benia like helped her out, like going to the restroom with her, Benia just probably felt something like, I need to make sure Momono gets out because she didn't deserve to be here. So that's why Benia probably just made sure that Momono had to get out, but unfortunately Aoi has just suffered for it. So now there's only 4 girls left. After the trap fails, trap is stopped. There's a moment for them to like, see what happened. Like the walls already got down, the saws already stopped, and you see all this white stuff that's around. Oh, before that, while they're like recollecting this, Kinko just keeps saying, I'm sorry, over and over and over and over. Like, she feels guilty about what happened. But this white cotton stuff is a preservation treatment because, people are watching. There's no need to see, any blood or anything. Like, blood will happen, but quickly that white stuff would just take over. And while Kinko is just saying, I'm sorry, Yuki just walks up to her and says, hey, it's better not to think about it. It's better to think about you're sorry, but it's better not to say it. Speaking it out makes you weaker. Yo, Yuki is trying to help Kinko, but Yuki is like so emotionless that any kind of like, quote unquote encouragement, it just comes off the wrong way. But she is actually just trying to help. It's just a very situation that all of them are in. But they chose to be here. I assume that someone knew the risk. Like, yeah, death happens, but stuff happens in between. So unfortunately, not everybody's gonna make it out alive. And there's a small moment to where the girls kind of clean themselves up. They're in this like little powder room, and after that, we get into the next room. This little next room is somewhat simple. There's an elevator off to the left that says one time only above it. There's a scale in the middle that has 2 busts, and they're weighing equally. And on the right, there's a small room with several weapons inside. We'll get to that in a moment. So Yuki checks the elevator door for traps, putting her foot through it and stepping through it, making sure it's safe. And when it is, the other girl, she tells the other girls, to follow along. But when Momono gets on the elevator, an alarm goes off. And the elevator says, "Hey, you have exceeded the weight limit." So the girls need to try to figure out, okay, how do we go down? Do we go 2 at a time? Is there some other thing we can do? Because the only elevator only goes down 1 at a time. So that rules it out. But then Momono just looks at that room of weapons, and then she gets the horrible idea. So you can already tell that the way to get out of this room is to leave somebody behind or to kill somebody, which is basically leaving somebody behind. But Yuki, proposes, hold on. Nobody has to die. Nobody has to be left alone. All everyone has to do is to leave a part of themselves behind because it's based off of weight. And the girls are like, "You want us to cut off our limbs?" It was like, it's okay. The preservation treatment allows limbs to be reattached. It's okay. So once they survive, they're okay. They get their limbs back. And of course, as some of the girls are being hysterical about it, Kinko just says, "I'll stay behind." She goes into the room and she's going to prepare to commit seppuku. And while she's in that room and Yuki is like calling out to her, Momono is like, "Yeah, hey, it's if Kinko's going to do this, then, right, Benya?" And Bino's like, "Yeah." And then Yuki is dead set on not having anyone die on her watch. And she kind of pulls Momono up to her and she whispers something like devious or like threatening to her. And then while in the back, Kinko is like attempting her duty, but she fails. Then we get this little dream-like sequence of where Kinko is saying Mizuzu is nice. She wants to grow up to be like her father, and she's getting thanks for something else. And it's a little bit of sequence. At the end of it, she sees herself like at a cliff, but she wakes up in Yuki's arms. And Yuki knows what Kinko is feeling. And Yuki says, "Hey, it's okay to feel guilty and responsible. That's enough." And Kinko is just way too nice at this point, while Yuki is just trying to like help her and encourage her. And even Yuki says, "Hey, you could be a little bit more underhanded." But we kind of skip it over, but we do pass the room. How they do it? Yuki, Momono, and Benya gave up one of their legs. Kinko gave up both of her legs, just so all of them could get on that elevator and go down. Crazy. What would you do? What would you sacrifice to get through and make sure everyone lives? So after that, they're descending a spiral staircase, and it's looking like they're nearing the end of it all. There's a nice little music that's playing. It's a nice little lighthearted moment. Each of the girls are wondering, "Hey, what are you doing after this?" Saying like, what's your favorite ramen? Yuki is giving some encouragement, even more encouragement and helpful advice and words to Kinko. And, Kinko and Yuki, they're bonding. Yuki's just playing the death game for a living. And at the final door, a fire alarm is going off. Above this door, there are 3 signs. 2 of those signs are lit up, and those signs depict a person with an X cross in front of them. Momono and Benya are just freaking out of what it could mean, what they can do, what they can't do, if they can go back, but they can't really go back. And we see scenes of like the mansion part on fire. So when when both of them look at Yuki, it's like, "Hey Yuki, what do we do?" All Yuki did was let Kinko off of her back. Turns around, uses her walking cane, goes up to her, puts that cane right up middle of her face with no emotion between both of them, no dialogue. Classical music starts playing. It's a happy moment. The door is open. It's a beautiful scenery. There's a garden. There's a brisk breeze. It's beautiful. It's serene. Bro, Yuki just offed Kinko for the rest of them to leave. Just like that. No emotion. No remorse. All she could do was looking at her says, sorry. Bro, crazy. And there's a little monologue going on with Yuki on what just happened. And then we see Yuki's apartment. And of course, her monologue is going on, talking in third person. She was rushed to the hospital, and then afterwards she was brought back to her apartment. And everything is fine with her. She's got her limbs attached, no blood on her. She's cool. She's able to walk around. And when she wakes up, she does her ritual, after game ritual, which she just thinks about what happened in the death game. She thinks about the dead girls. She doesn't mourn them. And she even, while like monologuing, like telling herself this, she's also telling the viewers, the audience, that, hey, she didn't lie once. She didn't deceive them once. She did what she had to do to survive with as many people as possible. It just so happened that Kinko was right there next to her. She was the closest. She didn't have like any ulterior like choice or motive, whatever. It's just that, hey, Kinko, you're right there. We're free. That is some Hitman style worth of action. And the last important scene that we see is that Yuki is following this other woman with white hair. And this other woman asked her, how many was that? And Yuki just said, hey, that's mine. That was my 28th game. And that was that. And Yuki has a goal where she wants to clear 99 games for some reason, one way or another. But, she just wants to clear 99 games. And that's the end of the episode. By God, this... this first episode really is like the pinnacle of what I adore and like in anime. It had everything I was looking for and more. I was hooked. Amazing. For me, really, all the first episode, it's a 9 out of 10. Dare I say 10 out of 10. But there's several more episodes we got to go through. There's several other things that we need to know, like how often are these death games, like what's the actual prize, like what's Yuki's goal, what other girls are we gonna see? Are we gonna see Benya and Momono back now that they're done with their game? Who really knows? There's so much that they can do. Like, I want to see what the outside world is. I want to see like the death game from like an audience perspective. I want to see what's going on. Are people betting? Or there's so many questions about this twisted world that draws you in. So good. But that's all I gotta say, even though I want to say more, but this is already way too long for real. I'll try not to be this long, but I'm trying to get back into the groove of things, yada yada yada. It's whatever. But let me know in the comments down below what y'all think about the anime. Tell me who your favorite character was, if it was Aoi, Kinko, or Kokoto. I don't know if they'll be back. I think they're just truly dead because it is a death game. What would you do in each of the scenarios? Would you even do like one of these death games? Would you even live in one of these death games? I know I would be the most diabolical person ever because I would want to live. I don't know about y'all. But anyway, if nothing else, I hope all of you have a good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. And I hope your day is just a little bit better than it already is. With that, we'll catch y'all in the next episode. Peace.